Okay, this is a video I've wanted to make for like 5 days now. Why I think the movie Love, Simon is one of the most important movies of the last 10 years, or rather, why it's one of the most important movies of my generation and the generation before me, the guys that are in high school right now. On one hand, it's easy to just decipher it as a normalization of coming out, a normalization of being gay in high school, and how difficult that can be and how needlessly difficult it can be. But I think the thing that worries me the most is the amount of people who have tuned out to this movie's message because they've tuned out to the pro-gay message that we're getting in society right now. I can understand, even if you aren't homophobic or anti-gay, why you might feel an onslaught of that message if it in some way conflicts with your values, and that's totally okay. But this movie has so much more than that. So let's start with the basic. Yes, it is totally gonna normalize and make things so much easier for kids that are going through late primary school, early high school, and feeling like maybe they are same-sex attracted and feeling like things aren't gonna get better. I think this movie is going to be such a bright light that things are going to get better. And it's okay to feel afraid, to open up about what you're feeling. And it's okay to open up about what you're feeling. And chances are things won't be that bad. But the second thing the movie covers, which I related to so much, and I so badly needed this movie when I was in high school and my first years out of high school, was the idea of making a series of small and seemingly insignificant mistakes that were more or less just there to kind of protect you, to cover up an image, to not have to be who it is you were afraid people would see you as. And then thinking, I can control these mistakes. This little lie I've told now, this little thing I've agreed to now, this little thing I've done now, well, that can get me out of trouble in this moment. And I don't mean like trouble from your parents or trouble from teachers. I mean trouble in terms of not feeling cool enough, or your friends hating you, or not fitting in, or not fitting the image you want to fit. This little thing has got me out of that now. And it's okay, I can manage the consequences. People won't remember. When they do remember, I'll talk my way out of it. It'll be fine. I will have found another way to deal with it. Everything will be fine when it comes up. But then eventually, all of those things that you've done to cover yourself, to protect yourself, to look after yourself, to make yourself feel better, they all come crashing down in one hit. And sometimes when that happens, it can be at a really inopportune time, when you really need people around you, and those people that you're used to having around you have just discovered something that you've done where you've lied to them, lied about them, made them look bad, betrayed them, and you're left with no one. And for the first time in my life, I'll admit I read Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda, which is the book. As soon as I saw the trailer for Love, Simon, I went and read Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda, and I just lit up. For the first time in my life, I related to a story where trying to protect yourself, or trying to protect the image that you wanted other people to see of you, and being so damn afraid that people would see the real you, would see the mistakes that you make, would see that you're not actually perfect in certain areas, would see that sometimes you hurt, and sometimes my way of dealing with that hurt was really unhealthy and made things so much worse for me and so many other people. That other people have gone through that before, and other people have had all of it come crashing down in one hit. And when you so desperately needed people around you, they were so hurt by what you'd done that understandably so they couldn't be there for you. And man, there's been some times in my teenage years and in my 20s where I honestly thought I was the only person that had ever gone through that. And it was so nice to read a book and see a movie that identified sometimes stuff that we never ever meant to hurt anybody, stuff that we did just because we thought it was helping us, and we didn't think about how bad it could be for other people, how much it could be hurting other people, how many people could get hurt by one simple thing. To acknowledge that that happens, and it sucks, but you can come back from it. You can come back from it. It's the first time I'd experienced it in literature. And gosh, it was so helpful for me. It was so refreshing for me, and it was so gratifying for me. And I can only imagine that there are people my age, older and younger, who are same-sex attracted, who felt the feelings I'm feeling now, also in that movie. From all of the muck-ups and mess-ups that come from when you're in high school, being same-sex attracted, it's something I can't even relate to. And the only message that I actually really want to get out in this video, the only thing I actually really, truly want to say is, if you're someone that's not seeing Love, Simon because you're sick of the overload, because you can't relate to people who are same-sex attracted, go and see it. Go and see it for two reasons. One, because I promise you there's something in that movie that will relate to you from when you're a teenager or a bit older, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I so badly needed to see that. And number two, the empathy that you can get from seeing that movie, it could change your life. It could change your life to relate to all of the characters in that movie and what they're going through. Because damn it did for me.